Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and this is DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. And our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 63, DIANN. Can you believe it?
No, but it's exciting, isn't it? It's one of my favorite shows.
It sure
is.
is.
I love all our people with us.
And it's a lot of interesting news, a lot of conversations about food, I have to say, and the weather.
The weather. But I mean, we have to have food to live, so yay.
It's one of the pleasures of life for sure. Yeah. So let's welcome our expert correspondents from the United Kingdom, also our dear friends, Helena Chard. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Good afternoon here.
Good afternoon. Mr. Ian Pelham-Turner, hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful sunny day in London.
We're glad to hear it. And also Simon MacDonald, welcome.
Hello, and it's nice to be back again as well, being a little bit closer to the North Pole than Ian is, living in Scotland. The sun's trying to shine here, but it's not doing a very good job of it. But the rain is winning, definitely.
Well, we seemingly flip-flopped from last show, because last show Ian was freezing and the weather was horrible, even though Helena had a different perspective on it. And Simon, you were in the sun and the warmth. So
yeah. We never know what Mr. Sun's going to do.
No,
we don't.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So what's going on over there in the United Kingdom? We're reading a lot of gossip, as well as a lot of anticipation and excitement for the coronation. Helena, what can you share with us?
Gosh, I mean, with a royal roundup, I guess. I mean, we obviously had, I think King Charles is proving to be absolutely fabulous, really, really exuding confidence, and I think moving us into sort of a confident relationship with Europe, hopefully the whole world. Obviously, it was a successful visit to Germany recently. I don't know whether we discussed the state visit, whether that was discussed last week, but I mean, a completely successful trip. Fantastic that he was the first monarch really to address German Parliament. And he did it with such, God, I just don't know. He's so eloquent, you know, he's speaking German, obviously this most amazing, funny speech, really connecting sort of Anglo-German friendships, and, you know, being able to laugh at each other, which I think always is a very successful speech. So that went really well, and obviously that was televised, and we saw King Charles, Queen Camilla at the Brandenburg Gate meeting all the people, and everyone was so friendly. I think it was a bit of a charm offensive, really, to as fractures from Brexit, and I think even the King even said how sad and disappointed he was all those years ago. It was 6 years now, isn't it? That Brexit was started, but how the whole royal family stands for togetherness. And yeah, it was a completely successful trip. And, you know, racing on now, the official coronation invites have been sent out, an amazing photograph of King Charles, Queen Camilla released. The photographer was Hugo Bernard, and he's a royal photographer. And that was a lovely picture taken in the Blue Room, and they're wearing blue and looking really beautiful. Yes, there is the picture, which I think is absolutely delightful. So that's in the blue drawing room, and that sort of was released. I think that was released last night, which I think is a success. Beautiful. Look at them smiling. Looking very beautiful. And the big thing as well is that obviously on the invite, which is a lovely invite that we can talk about, there is the invite. There's stories behind that as well, which I think is lovely. I mean, what I love about this, and I don't know if you all agree, is it's such fun. It's fun. It's almost like quite kiddie-like in a way. It's quite children-like, and that's I think you know, you can see everything there to do with nature. That obviously is to do with Prince Charles, etc. And there's so much in there, gold leaf and various things. It was actually designed by Andrew Jameson, who is a wonderful artist, and he didn't even tell his family that he was designing the invites. He's quite a shy character, but how funny. So it's hand painted on recycled cards, so obviously sustainable. And as I said, it sort of highlights the King's interest in the environment. But what I love is this, see the little green motif at the bottom there. That sort of goes back to British ancient folklore, which it sort of symbolises spring and the rebirth. There's sort of a meadow of British wildflowers, you know, ladybirds, wrens, robins, lions, unicorns, sort of taken from Charles's coat of arms. And lovely to see in there as well as rosemary, which obviously is in remembrance of the late Queen Elizabeth II. I just think it's really, really very beautiful. And obviously on there, it was the first introduction where it says Queen Camilla. And there's obviously a slight, you know, there's I'd say small group of people now that are not too keen on Camilla, just simply because of what happened all those years ago. But as I say, you know, everyone's entitled to their happiness. So, you know, I don't think it's even questionable. I've been calling Camilla Queen Camilla now for quite a while. And it does go back in history that it's inevitable that she'd be Queen Camilla. We had Queen Elizabeth, which is the late Queen Elizabeth II's mother. And I know there was Queen Mary, and it goes back further. And, you know, King Charles is so proud of being King Charles III and feels it's a real honour, and obviously wanted to bestow that also on his dear wife, who really supports him and, you know, makes him happy, gives him his confidence. And she in herself is a remarkable woman, really good fun, so eloquent, jolly. She exudes joy. I know that Ian would mention as well, I mean, you know, taking photographs when we're doing royal photography, and she'd be the main one beaming at everyone and you know, talking to people, really quick wits, fabulous communication, and always has the small talk to make everyone feel special. So they're together a really formidable couple, and I do think, you know, things are going really, really well, really good. And of course we've got Prince George as well, and it's it come out obviously his new role. I mean, he's only 9, Prince George, and he's been given, I think there's going to be 8 pages of honour actually at the coronation, and he's front and centre stage at the age of 9. So normally he'd be a teenager, but he's very, very level-headed and grown up for his age. And he, you know, it's such an, obviously he's a future king as well, and it's such an event, such a spiritual, historical event to be doing anything at. So he'll be, I think, holding the robes of King Charles and Queen Camilla, and he'll be there, I think, with some of his friends too, I think. And the different thing about it as well is obviously Queen Camilla will have her grandchildren there, which will be really good fun, and they'll be dressed up in that little costume, all suited and booted. So I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I think it's just going to be such good fun. I love the historical aspect of the coronation, so I'm looking forward to everything. And I'll stop there. Thank you. So that's some royal news.
I think that invitation was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Helena.
Good. So I'm glad you like it as well. We're still waiting for ours, but I'm sure it's sure to drop on the post in the next few days.
I was wondering if I could get my name on the list.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. But obviously, it's now 2000. The guest invites are 2000. When you think about the late Queen Elizabeth, which was something like 8,000, so it's a really reduced number of people, but it's going to be equally as splendid, I'm sure.
Helena, we do have a third picture. Do you want to share with us what this is?
Well, that's just after. So we've got the Eurovision coming up, and obviously this is a stage set of the Eurovision, which they are building at the moment in the north of England, which is going to take forever to do. But obviously, it's supposed to imitate, and you can almost see it as if it's like arms around Ukraine. It's almost like hugging Ukraine. So it's got a sense of that. And the Eurovision is a really fun thing that we look forward to here in the UK. And every year we have it, and people have parties. But I think it's just after the coronation, and they have different, they have people that are singing. So I think they have a few events. Then the final event, the final Eurovision, which I can't remember what date that is, at some point in May. But I know when they put the tickets on show, the tickets sold out within seconds. And I can't remember the price of them, but as usual, then everyone starts putting them on wherever it is, eBay or whatever, and selling it for them for an absolute fortune. But it's a lovely thing to look forward to. Hi, Diane, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Can you explain to our listeners who may not know what Eurovision is?
So the Eurovision Song Contest it's different people participate. So it's different places in Europe, different countries in Europe. They all submit one song. So each little individual country votes for what song's going to represent them. And every year they come together. It's held in different places. This year it should have been held in Ukraine, but understandably because of the war, that's not happened. So the UK has said, because we came second, that we would hold it. And obviously it's got lots of sentiments of Europe as part of it, even the main colour schemes, etc. But it's a bonding thing as well, obviously bringing people together, and everyone votes. People from each country vote, and then there's an overall winner. And it goes on for hours and hours, but it's a great fun event. But people in the UK tend to have Eurovision parties as well. So and they're themed, and people get dressed up, and drinks and food, and it's what the people in the UK do the best is party and have fun, I'd say.
I love that unity. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. So let's see what happens. I don't know who's going to win this year. We'll see.
What did the gentleman have to say? You boys are quite quiet today.
Oh, my singing voice isn't that good.
Let's hear. We'll be the judge. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, I know. I nearly fell into that trap before, I think. But no, the Eurovision Song Contest, it sort of polarizes the nation somewhat, and it attracts a huge audience. And it's been going on since, well, I don't know, years and years and years. But I think the UK has won it a couple of times, but our track record of late hasn't been terribly good. So we're all delighted when the UK came second this year. So, second best. Well, it turns out better than what we have been doing. But every country, as Helena says, submits an act in the song to perform, and then all the other countries judge it, on its merits, and the winner is chosen. So that's it. It's a melodic coronation in many ways, I suppose.
Thanks for that.
Do you have anything like that in the States?
Not that I know of, but it would
So.
probably be nice to have to kind of quit having football going on between the two political parties. So, there's a wonderful saying that says, through music, mankind has found understanding. And I've always loved that. And I just think it would be really great if everybody realized that and through song, try to listen and work together.
Well, you've got 51 states. I mean, there we are. Each state could put forward a song and a singer to present it, and have the American vision.
Yeah, wouldn't that be lovely? I think they'd still fight. They probably, Texas alone is so big, they go, wait a minute, we need to have 3 songs. And Alaska would say, well, we're even bigger than Texas, so we want 5 songs.
But they don't have as many people, so we'd have to really look at that as well.
Yes, because of the land mass.
Famous saying springs to mind of size doesn't matter.
Love it. Anyway.
Funny.
So Scotland, any great politics?
Oh boy, are we, the scandal is hitting us big time today. We've got a new First Minister in Scotland now after election. He's only been in office for about a week or so now, Hamza Yousaf. And he replaces the famous Nicola Sturgeon, who was an absolutely incredible politician. Whether you like her politics or not, she was a great statesperson. So anyway, it's transpired her husband has got himself into a bit of bother and is now in custody with our police. And this is over financial irregularities with party funds. I haven't got the full story, and I don't think anybody has the full story, just exactly what the financial irregularities involve. But there we are. So, Nicola Sturgeon had resigned, and then suddenly 2 weeks later, well, actually it was about a week later, her husband then also resigned because of implications in financial irregularities. But last night, the police swooped on his house and her house, and they've parked themselves outside and erected a big marquee, and they're sifting through all the paperwork. And they've also raided a few other addresses as well, including the Scottish National Party's headquarters, which is just behind the Scottish Parliament building at Holyrood. So, we're all waiting to see what's going to happen. Is this going to be our own version of Donald Trump or what?
That's what I was thinking.
This is becoming maybe a bit of a global contest to see who's controversial issue in the courthouses. So yes, I watch this space. I'll keep you posted.
Okay, great.
Listening to the news with great enthusiasm these days to see what happens next. I mean, a week's a long time in politics, so the saying goes.
Yes.
So we got it all happening in this last 2 or 3 weeks. So there are a lot of very nervous people in Parliament just now, and the Scottish Parliament just now. I should think in the UK Parliament and Westminster, they'll all be laughing up the sleeves and so on until they get caught as well. But I've been speaking to a couple of our ministers this last couple of days as well, and they are just still a little bit nervy about how the situation's panning out, but giving it the best shot anyway.
Thank you. Ian, I'm wondering, as a political correspondent, I hate to even open this box, but what's been going on behind the scenes in reference to what's happened to Donald Trump? I read that the world leaders have mostly remained silent.
I think, it's been natural television. In fact, even I woke up at about 3 o'clock this morning just to see what Trump was saying. My feeling, I think, with Trump at the moment is he will use it to good effect. I think, first of all, I think the reality is that Britain is watching this with great interest. That's true to say. There's been no real comment from British politicians. They wouldn't really comment on American political affairs of a previous era. normally. But I think the reality at the moment is that we're all watching agog, I think, across the world of what's happening. It's going to be very interesting times, because I think, you know, when you watch the Trump speech that he gave, which was, as I say, it's about 2 or 3 o'clock our time in the morning, when he'd come back to Key Largo from New York. I think he starts again using the same rhetoric as he raised before. Now, we only saw parts of the speech; we didn't see the full speech over here. But I think the reality again is they're trying to warn him, or apparently the judge trying to warn him against any powerful rhetoric that may cause uprisings yet again in any way, shape or form. Did it stop him complaining about the judge? Did it stop him complaining about the actual the city attorney having a go at him at the moment as well, the district attorney, or even parts of the family? I'm not sure whether it's the judge or the attorney general, or the attorney herself, but who's involved with one of the key people from within the parties, within Biden's party. Camilla, I always forget the lady's name, but there appears to be when you get things like this, people then wonder, is this just a means of trying to stop him running for president in 2024? Will he do it? And even the one thing that we were talking about in Britain more than anything, which may interest you, is could he still run for president whilst he's in jail, or could he even be president whilst he's in jail? And we were really have been discussing that amongst ourselves. So I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't know the answer to it either. I did watch the whole speech, and I watched the whole live broadcast yesterday from when he left Trump Tower and the whole thing. And from what I understand, the next time he's going to be in court is in December. So by the time it goes to trial, could be another year later. Who even knows? But he did express a lot of anger and really call out a number of people, which I don't know if he's supposed to do that or not supposed to do that, but that's just who he is. And I kind of felt like, as I was watching and he referred to his sons, he didn't bring up his daughters, but what a great job his sons were doing, what a great family he has, that whether you like him or you don't like him, I really feel strongly that people have had it out for him all along, and that people want him gone in any possible way. And so they're just going to keep looking for things. And now we're going to have a trial that's going to cost all of this money. And is he going to stop running? I don't think so. And he's got this team of lawyers, probably the best you could possibly get. And if they're not, he'll get better ones. So I'm not really sure. But I kind of just, as a person, I kind of saw him just as a human yesterday, as opposed to the politician, the former president. Excuse me, when he mentioned about his sons, I thought, this is still a father. It is still a husband. It is still a human being. And people, I think they don't want to see him as human at all.
And I think I've been watching the lady in question as well. Yeah, this lady in his life, Stormy. But you know what? In a strange way, she's become a TV star all of her own now. And I've been watching her on some of the talk shows in America. And I have to say, professionally, she comes across very, very well. Slightly naughty, and I get it. So it's probably late night television in America, but she comes across extremely well again. And I think the problem at the moment is the real problem with a lot of politicians is that people don't realize it is a very lonely life as well. a lot of the time. And, you know, I go back to the days of John Major, where his wife for a long time lived about 130 miles away from him. And so he was just by himself in Downing Street. And there was this story at the time where because of the IRA, they had to rebuild the security and the security gates at the bottom of Downing Street. And they also created really a hut, but quite a big hut for the police so that they could sort of stay in there and keep warm as well. And it was always rumored that he had that built so that he could go down of a night time and watch television with them, watch football with them, because there was no one else to talk to.
Interesting.
Wow. It is. You're right. Politician's life is very lonely. And you, no matter what, with 24-hour news, you are always on. They're always out to get somebody, right?
And I think with 24-hour rolling news these days, as I said for a long time, whether it's a good thing or not, I've never really decided upon that, because in reality, what a lot of TV channels have had to do is they've had to really what we call sex up stories at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning just to keep anybody who may be watching awake in the first place. And so rhetoric nowadays, I think, if you compare how perhaps political television in Britain was actually produced in the past to now, it has become a lot more rhetoric. It has become a lot more sound bites. And as I keep on saying on the political show, it's more like sound bites than sound judgment, you know, because and all the politicians seem to be chasing now are the newspaper headlines.
I agree. I love that statement. Sound bites instead of sound judgment. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, though, I mean, you know, as a politician, you really do have to mind your P's and Q's and be careful what you say. And I just couldn't help thinking that after the speech that Donald Trump gave last night, that it's a definite lesson in that once you've shot yourself in the foot, please don't reload and shoot yourself in the other one. He's made no great friends with the judge now, and I think that was a bit of an error of judgment, for want of a better term. So I think he made a bit of a slip up there.
But the judges are from New York, so he probably figured he had nothing to lose.
He's got his freedom to lose now.
Well, that's
a lot of dollars.
Yeah,
we have our problems over here as well, because at the moment, obviously, one of the big issues that we're having to contend with is illegal immigrants coming across the channel in these small boats, and so we have 56,000 of them are now not in turn, that's not the right word, but are in hotels across Britain, and that's costing £72 million a month now to actually help people in hotels across Britain. And so now the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has been talking about having them on barges and in military camps and so forth as well. And a lot of people are wondering whether or not, is this ever going to end, first of all? And that they think that their plan was to send people to Rwanda if they are seen to be illegal now. And so far we've spent something like about £130 million in Rwanda getting ready for these people to come. And then we discover that Rwanda will only take 200 or 300 people a year out of 56,000. So, what's going to happen with the rest of them? And on top of everything else, as you know, Easter is happening in Britain as well. And so we have one of our biggest ports is Dover, which is closest to the channel. And there were 20-hour queues trying to get onto the ferries to get across to France. So, I think every country at the moment seems to be facing some of the difficulties.
Wow.
We can't stop our own people from getting out, and we can't stop their people from getting in. I mean, it's getting one heck of a pile up in the middle of the channel just now, I can tell you.
Nobody seems to be happy where they are.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Oh, madness. Cute. I was just going to say one thing about Trump. I didn't watch the whole thing, and I don't know. I look at his hair all the time, and I can't stop looking at his hair. Normally, I want to listen to what he's saying, but I can't. But is it trumpets? Is that what they're called? But I heard them all saying that actually what it's doing is just keeping him, giving him his platform, keeping him, actually riding high, ready to carry on in politics. I don't know. Does everyone think that's true?
Well, I think yesterday on the, I don't know what it's called, the podium, you could text Trump to whatever number and, so that they can they can push out announcements. And I saw that even though they didn't take a mugshot, you could make a donation to his campaign and get a T-shirt with the fake mugshot. So I think he's moving forward. There's one thing about him that I have to say, and again, whether you like him or you don't, he doesn't stop. He, like most people, would have already either killed themselves, left the country, just gone completely dark, locked himself in a basement. I'm just exaggerating, but he continues to move forward, whatever it is that's thrown his way.
Yes, he does. And in answer to Ian's question, it's my understanding that you're innocent until proven guilty. Therefore, he is allowed to keep running for president until he's put behind bars, I believe.
Yeah,
that bit I get, but I just wondered, because somebody was there were some pundits from America saying that he could still be president in jail. If he was made president, he could be jailed, but he could still be president and perform all the presidential duties whilst in jail. Now, I don't know whether that's a true fact or not, or whether it's something that that people are just wanting to talk about. But the thing with Trump is he's using the same style. I've talked about it before, where he uses a style of vocation where he uses a thing called mirrors and anchors. And he was using it again last night, repetitive phrasing, which after a while, it does actually sink into the psyche of people listening. And it's been a method that's been used for many, many years. And I think, in reality, I think Boris Johnson was trying to use the same thing over here as well at one stage. And so it's interesting that how many people will start believing him again, and probably worse than that, from an American point of view, and I love America as well, is that, will this cause more violence in some form because of what he's saying?
Ian, could you elaborate on mirrors and anchors? I haven't heard of this before.
Mirrors and anchors. Mirrors is really a body language thing. So with mirrors, if you're talking to someone and they have their arms cross their chest, for example, then that's really sort of telling you that they're trying to prevent the message that they are listening to. And so one method they teach in sales for mirrors is that if you have your arms across the chest, and if you're trying to get them to uncross their arms, so I would then cross my arms across my chest, and then I would open my arms up. And from an animal instinct point of view, normally the other person listening to you would follow suit as well. And so that's mirrors. Anchors are repetitive messaging, and I can't. There was a phrase that he was using last night, and I can't remember the phrase offhand. But basically, he says it once, then he says it in a slightly different way again, and then he'll say it again. So that's what's known as anchors. And so these anchors, once they're repeated so many times, it starts going into the memory and the subconscious memory of people listening to him. And it's my belief that Donald Trump won the election, the presidential election, because of using anchors. He was using repetitive messaging constantly. And if you listen to him, he'll say a soundbite, he'll repeat the soundbite, and then he'll change the soundbite very slightly and say it again. And that's what's known as anchors.
Very interesting.
He absolutely did that for sure. He said something, then he'd turn around to this side and say it again, and then he'd say it a third time. And I have my arms crossed, and no one's crossing their arms.
But do you know, it's awful when you cross your arms as well. Let's just say, I don't know if anyone noticed it, if you're out with people or people you've just met, sometimes people will cross their arms just because they feel slightly uncomfortable. Yes. So it's sort of like cuddling themselves. So there's different ways of viewing things, but also with the anchoring as well. NLP is very much like that. So neuro-linguistic programming that you can actually use for yourself. You basically anchor yourself. So if you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, you may, I don't know, think about the seaside and the breeze and the sunshine, wonderful things. And it's like a repetitive situation in your mind, and you might pinch your fingers or something. And then, it's a similar kind of thing that works if you get the drift. So that's making yourself feel well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one danger, obviously, and that both Helen and I, and I'm sure Simon, all of us are aware as well, that using that method, it's subliminal techniques, and we had laws brought into Britain years ago about subliminal techniques, because at one stage, really in the late 50s and early 60s, subliminal messaging was being put into commercials on our TV sets. And so, if it was a drink with bubbles in it, for example, they would write a simple message in the bubbles. But it would happen in seconds. And so your subconscious would actually accept that message. And it may have sort of persuaded you to buy that, not realizing that you were being subjected to subliminal techniques. And really, anchors is another subliminal method of actually trying to get inside, that side of your brain that will really resonate and could affect how you vote.
Interesting.
That's fascinating. Well, on another topic, what is this about this new coin that's coming out? Ian, the King Charles coin, did you say it was?
Yeah, it's a new King Charles coin. It's a £5 coin, and Helena may know more about it than I. I've just happened to sort of see it on screen this afternoon, where they've created this new £5 coin for King Charles, and you can buy it for £5. And there's a limited number. There's only one per household, but I don't know whether Helena knows more about that one.
No, I've heard about the new coin. In fact, there's always so many coins. I know there was a Prince William coin, but that King Charles coin was available up to a certain point for £5. But I think if you've missed the deadline, it goes up. But they have them as sometimes made in different fabrics as well. So you can actually get more expensive versions, sort of private ones. But for me, I know one of the things I was interested in, and Simon, it being a Scottish slant to it. So Queen Elizabeth II appears on stamps for the final time. So she's been her face has been on stamps, 300 billion, let's say, 300 billion postage stamps. But it's in association with the Flying Scotsman. So very well-known steam train. I think it's its 100th birthday, if I'm right. And there's, how do I say this? So there's a steam train event that's happening. So it's all like a big promotion, centenary of the Flying Scotsman, and the celebrations are at Keighley North Valley Railway in West Yorkshire. And you can actually buy tickets to go and see the train and be part of little journeys. It begins on May the 6th with heritage trains. And I think it was also the first steam train to get to 100 miles per hour and travel around the world. So maybe Simon knows a bit more about the Flying Scotsman, or Ian, do you know lots about it? I don't know too much about it. I'm not actually a steam fanatic person, but I know lots of people absolutely love steam trains. So
in Lochaber area in Scotland, the west of Scotland, we have a steam train service that runs from Fort William to Mike, and that's rated as one of the most beautiful railway lines, scenic railway lines in the world. And I can well believe it. It is really spectacular, that line, as it goes through the hills and the glens, going up by Lochaber, and then it goes from there. Suddenly the ocean opens out, and you've got all the sea lochs and the islands and so on before you, all the way up to Malik. It's absolutely wonderful. Deer running along the side of the track as well. I remember when they first put the steam train on, and of course there was great big press build up to this, and and it attracts thousands and thousands of people every year. But the first time they put it on, of course, the steam trains, the ash box underneath the fires, occasionally sort of spits out bits of burning coal. And the steam train ran at a time when the ground in the area was all tinder dry. And so there was a hill fire that suddenly sprung up about 55 miles long and so on. And they had every fire brigade in the Highlands had to turn up and try and put this fire out. Helicopters waterbombing it and God knows what all. And it actually took nearly a month to put all the fire out. So it was, the whole place was covered in soot. The hills were black and so on. People coming up and looking, sort of, what does everybody go on about? The beauty and the colour in the hills here. The place is black. So that was it. It was, it was quite a mess for a while. My house was where I was living at the time, would be 8 or 10 miles away from the railway line, and we couldn't put any washing outside. Everything was getting the sort of smut from the hill fires and so on from the steam train. But steam trains have suddenly become quite trendy in the UK, and there's lots of little lines opening up here and there and everywhere now. In the Spey Valley, they've got a lot of railway enthusiasts together there, and they've got a number of steam trains running along about 5 miles of track and back again. They go back and forward all day long. And then down, I think, to Devon or Cornwall, they've got another steam train started up there as well. So it is becoming quite the trend to have your locomotive steam driven. And having said that as well, we have a beautiful steam ship that operates in Scotland as well. The Waverley, paddle steamer Waverley, has become really quite iconic. She was built in 1947 and originally servicing the Clyde as a paddle steamer. And then she was sold eventually to the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society for £1, which is $1.20 or something like that. And they fundraised and got a lot of money put together and got the Waverley back on the water again. And she's absolutely gorgeous. I had the privilege of commanding her for 3 months, many years ago. And she is so beautiful, the ship. Lovely to see, beautiful to see it coming along. And all you hear is this beat of the paddles, ka-chunk, 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 in the water as she goes by. From my perspective, though, when I was in command, suddenly discovered that this ship had 2 paddle wheels, amidships, and a tiny little, very ineffective rudder astern. So you had to think about a week in advance if you wanted to turn a corner in this ship. But steam power and steam locomotives and steamships and so on is really becoming quite the thing. But the Waverley's claim to fame is she's the last seagoing paddle steamer in the world, apparently. So there we are. Mine of information.
Thank you, Simon. That's fascinating.
Fascinating.
Appreciate you sharing that. We're going to have to steamroll our show right into the station as we come to an end. So we're going to go around as we always do. Last words for our audience. Anything you want to share, DIANN?
So everybody, I hope you have a very blessed week. And for a lot of people, it's a very special week. So blessings to everybody.
Thank you, DIANN.
You're welcome.
I just managed to get your banner up before you start talking. Stop talking. So, Helena, what would you like to share?
I just think everyone, I've been giving things a lot of thought recently, and I think it's really, really important to, think about shared values and reflect, and really, really just find joy in everything you do each day. I have to say that I think we spoke about Finland, and Finland actually are now teaching people how to be happy, which I found quite fascinating. I find fascinating, something to think about. But everyone have a good week and find joy.
Thank you, Helena. Over to you, Simon.
Well, I mean, every week I'm coming up with some other ridiculous saying. So this week's going to be no different. So good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better's best.
Good, better, best. Never let it rest. I like it. Very nice. Ian?
Well, I actually did see the Flying Scotsman. I was 8 years old. I used to be a train spotter, and one day it came through, and nobody was more surprised than me when this steam train came through on an electrified line. So it just goes to show that whatever your age, always expect the unexpected.
I love that.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say something. We have had a guest recently, not on this show, another one in her 80s. She's going to be joining our team. And it really made me reflect on the fact that it used to be you get to be a certain age and it was off to the golf course. You're going to go fishing. You're just going to go out into the woods, wherever you're going to go. And today, more and more people are working longer. They're adding more value. They're finding more joy because they opened another chapter of their life. And that's what I wish for everyone, to have a happy Easter, and also to keep finding joy and ways that you can be of service and in service to others. All right. Our next show is coming up. It's I'm Spiritual But, starring Anne Scotland. So please do join us for this. Anne is now hosting the show solo. So we are wishing her all the best, and we'll be back in just about 10 minutes. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Yes.